You were born with it. You never chose it. And for most of your life, nobody told you what it was actually doing inside you every single day. Your blood type is not just a label on a medical form. It is a biological program, ancient, precise, and relentless, running silently inside your body from the moment you took your first breath. It is influencing your immune system right now. It is shaping your disease risk right now. It is affecting how you respond to stress, how you digest your food, how your heart functions, how your brain ages, and how long you are likely to live. And the terrifying part is that most people will go their entire lives never understanding any of it. By the end of this video, you will know more about what your blood type is doing to your body than most doctors will ever tell you, and some of what you are about to discover will genuinely disturb you. There are 4 main blood types: A, B, AB, and O. But before we decode what each one means for your body, you need to understand what a blood type actually is at the biological level, because most people think it is just a category. It is not. It is a set of instructions written into every single red blood cell in your body. On the surface of each of your red blood cells sit protein structures called antigens. These antigens are not passive decorations. They are active biological communicators, constantly signaling to your immune system, interacting with pathogens, shaping your inflammatory response, and influencing the behavior of virtually every system in your body. Your blood type is determined by which antigens your red blood cells carry, and that determination was made before you were born, written into your DNA by a combination of your parents' genetic codes, and it has never changed and will never change for as long as you live. Think about that for a moment. Every single red blood cell in your body, and you have approximately 25 trillion of them, is carrying a biological identity marker that has been silently running programs in your body your entire life, programs most people know nothing about. Now, let us decode each blood type, starting with the one that started it all, type O. The oldest blood type on Earth, carried by approximately 44% of the global population. Type O did not just appear randomly. It evolved during a period of human history when survival depended entirely on physical power, aggressive immune response, and the ability to digest and metabolize large quantities of animal protein. The humans carrying type O blood were hunters. They were physically dominant, metabolically aggressive, and biologically wired for intensity. And here is what is remarkable. That ancient biological wiring is still running in type O bodies today. Type O individuals have the highest levels of stomach acid of any blood type, not slightly higher, significantly higher. This is not a coincidence. It is a direct evolutionary adaptation for breaking down dense animal protein efficiently. For type O individuals, this means a few important things. First, they are the most efficient protein metabolizers of all blood types. High protein diets work better in type O bodies than in any other blood group. Second, they burn fat more efficiently when they are physically active. The type O metabolism is designed to be in motion. It is designed to hunt. When it is sedentary, it struggles in ways that other blood types do not. But the high stomach acid that makes type O a metabolic powerhouse also creates a significant vulnerability. Type O individuals have the highest rate of stomach ulcers of any blood group on Earth. The same aggressive acid environment that efficiently breaks down protein also makes the stomach lining dramatically more susceptible to damage from the H. pylori bacteria, the single most common cause of gastric ulcers worldwide. Research shows that type O individuals are nearly twice as likely to develop gastric ulcers as type A individuals. And this is not just a dietary issue. When type O individuals experience chronic stress, their stomach acid production increases even further, creating a biological chain reaction from emotional stress to physical gastric damage that can develop silently over years. Now here is something about type O that most people never consider. Type O blood has a unique and powerful relationship with inflammation. Type O immune systems are highly reactive,
fast responding and aggressive when threatened. This is a significant advantage when fighting infection. Type O individuals tend to recover from infectious illness faster and more completely than other blood types. Studies show that Type O individuals have measurably lower risk of developing certain cancers, including pancreatic cancer, compared to other blood groups. Their immune surveillance, the process by which the immune system identifies and destroys abnormal cells before they become cancer, is particularly robust. But that same inflammatory reactivity has a dark side. Type O individuals are more prone to inflammatory conditions, including inflammatory bowel disease, certain types of arthritis, and thyroid dysfunction. Their immune systems, wired for aggression, sometimes struggle to distinguish between genuine threats and the body's own tissue. The very power that protects them also creates vulnerabilities that require careful management throughout life. There is one more critical finding about Type O that you need to know. Type O blood has a specific vulnerability in the context of bleeding. Type O individuals have lower levels of von Willebrand factor, a protein critical for blood clotting. This means that Type O individuals bleed more heavily after injury and surgery than other blood types. In a medical emergency, this becomes critically relevant information that could influence treatment decisions in ways that could save or cost a life.
Now, let us move to Type A. And if you are Type A, pay very close attention to what comes next. Type A blood evolved approximately 20,000 years ago as human societies transitioned from nomadic hunting to settled agriculture. The Type A digestive system reflects this shift completely. Where Type O is built for protein and fat, Type A is built for plant-based nutrition. Type A individuals produce significantly lower levels of stomach acid than Type O, reflecting a biology optimized for grains, vegetables, and legumes rather than dense animal protein. They also produce lower levels of the intestinal enzyme needed to efficiently break down fat and protein. This is not a flaw, this is design. Type A bodies were built for a different nutritional environment. But this design creates a problem in the modern world, where high-protein, high-fat diets are the norm. Type A individuals who consume predominantly animal protein and saturated fat often struggle with weight gain, a sluggish metabolism, elevated LDL cholesterol, and reduced energy in ways that Type O individuals eating the same diet simply do not experience. The same metabolic program that served Type A ancestors perfectly in an agricultural society becomes a liability in a world of fast food, processed protein, and calorie-dense convenience eating. But the single most important biological finding about Type A is not about digestion, it is about stress. And this is where Type A biology becomes genuinely alarming. Type A individuals naturally produce higher baseline levels of cortisol than any other blood type. This is not a response to stress. This is the resting state. Before anything stressful has happened, before any pressure has been applied, Type A individuals are already carrying more cortisol in their systems than a Type O individual under active stress. What does this mean in practice? It means Type A individuals feel stress more intensely and more immediately than other blood types. They respond to stressors faster, they experience anxiety at lower thresholds of provocation, and, most critically, they take significantly longer to return to hormonal baseline after a stressful event has passed. Where a Type O individual might recover from a stressful experience in hours, a Type A individual may still be carrying the cortisol response days later. The long-term implications of this chronic cortisol elevation are profound and deeply concerning. Cortisol is one of the most destructive hormones in the human body when chronically elevated. It suppresses immune function. It damages the hippocampus, the brain region responsible for memory formation. It promotes visceral fat accumulation around the organs. It disrupts sleep architecture. It accelerates cellular aging, and it places sustained pressure on the cardiovascular system in ways that compound over decades. Research from multiple institutions has confirmed what this biological profile predicts.
type A individuals face a statistically significant elevated risk of heart disease. A landmark study published in the journal Arteriostoresis, Thrombosis and Vascular Biology found that individuals with type A blood face up to a 23% higher risk of coronary artery disease compared to type O individuals. The mechanism is not primarily dietary, it is hormonal. The chronic cortisol environment that type A individuals live in every day of their lives creates sustained inflammatory pressure on the coronary arteries, pressure that accumulates silently over decades until it manifests as the cardiovascular events that kill more people every year than any other cause of death on Earth. If you are type A, this is not a death sentence, but it is a biological reality that demands to be taken seriously. Stress management is not optional for type A individuals. It is biological maintenance. Meditation, structured relaxation, consistent sleep, and cardiovascular exercise are not lifestyle preferences for type A people. They are interventions that counteract a cortisol program that would otherwise run unchecked and destructively through their bodies for their entire lives.
Now, let us talk about type B, the most biologically independent of all blood types. Type B evolved in the harsh, extreme climates of the Himalayan highlands and the steppes of Central Asia, environments that demanded extraordinary adaptability. The humans carrying type B blood were nomadic, moving constantly, eating whatever was available, surviving conditions that would destroy less adaptable biologies. And type B blood reflects this heritage in ways that are still biologically relevant today. Type B individuals have the most flexible digestive system of all blood types, capable of efficiently processing both animal protein and plant-based nutrition. They thrive on dairy products in ways that no other blood type does. Type B is the only blood group that produces sufficient quantities of the enzyme needed to fully break down lactose. Their immune systems are uniquely adaptable, capable of handling a wide variety of pathogens and environmental challenges. Research consistently shows type B individuals have strong cardiovascular resilience and a lower statistical risk of certain heart conditions compared to type A. Type B individuals also show the most stable hormonal stress response of all blood types. Where type O floods with adrenaline and type A floods with cortisol, type B maintains a comparatively balanced neuroendocrine response to stress. This biological stability translates to what researchers describe as greater emotional resilience, the ability to process and recover from stressful experiences with less sustained hormonal disruption. But type B biology carries a shadow that scientists are only beginning to fully understand. Research has identified a troubling association between type B blood and elevated risk of cognitive decline in aging populations. The type B immune system, while exceptionally adaptable, appears to create specific vulnerabilities in neurological tissue that become increasingly significant as the brain ages. Studies tracking type B individuals across decades show higher rates of memory-related decline and a faster rate of hippocampal volume reduction compared to type O and type A populations of the same age. The mechanism is not yet fully understood, but the leading hypothesis involves the way type B antigens interact with neural tissue proteins, creating a low-grade inflammatory environment in neurological tissue that accumulates silently over decades. This does not mean that all type B individuals will experience cognitive decline. It means that cognitive health, brain stimulation, physical exercise, sleep quality, and anti-inflammatory nutrition deserves particular priority and attention for individuals carrying type B blood. And now we arrive at the most extraordinary blood type of all, type AB. Type AB is the youngest blood type on Earth. It did not exist until type A and type B populations began interbreeding, an event that occurred relatively recently in human evolutionary history. Type AB carries antigens from both parent types on the surface of each red blood cell, making it the most complex blood type and making type AB individuals the most biologically unique of all blood groups, and it shows in remarkable and deeply concerning ways. Type AB is carried by less than 4% of the global population. In a room of 100 people, fewer than 4 of them will have type AB blood. The rarity of this blood type is not just a statistical curiosity. It reflects the extraordinary biological complexity of carrying two antigen systems simultaneously, a complexity that creates both unique advantages and unique vulnerabilities that no other blood type experiences. On the advantage side, type AB individuals enjoy exceptional immune versatility. Because their immune systems must manage two antigen systems simultaneously, they develop an unusually sophisticated pathogen recognition capability.
Type AB individuals tend to show strong resistance to a wide range of infectious diseases and have historically shown resilience to certain epidemics that devastated other blood type populations. Their digestive systems are also highly flexible, benefiting from the agricultural optimization of type A and the adaptability of type B simultaneously.
But here's the finding that stopped researchers cold. A study published in the prestigious journal Neurology, involving thousands of participants tracked across multiple decades, found that type AB individuals face an 82% higher risk of cognitive impairment compared to all other blood types combined. Not 8%, not 18%, 82%. This is the most alarming cognitive risk finding ever associated with a specific blood group, and it is a finding that the mainstream health conversation has almost completely ignored. The biological mechanism appears to involve blood coagulation. Type AB blood has the highest levels of clotting factor 8 of all blood types, a protein involved in blood clot formation. Elevated factor 8 has been independently linked to increased risk of vascular events in the brain, small microstrokes and circulation disruptions that individually may be too small to detect, but that cumulatively damage cognitive tissue over decades. By the time the damage becomes symptomatic, the underlying vascular process has often been running silently for 20 or 30 years. This finding does not mean that type AB individuals are destined for cognitive decline, but it does mean that cardiovascular health, and specifically brain blood flow, deserves extraordinary attention from anyone carrying type AB blood. Regular cardiovascular exercise, aggressive management of blood pressure and cholesterol, consistent omega-3 fatty acid intake, and avoidance of smoking are not recommendations for type AB individuals. They are biological imperatives. Now here is where the story of blood type becomes even more remarkable. Your blood type does not just influence your cardiovascular system and your immune response, it reaches all the way down into your gut, into the 38 trillion bacteria that make up your microbiome, and shapes the very ecosystem of microorganisms that regulate your immune function, your mental health, your weight, and your cognitive performance. Research has now established that blood type antigens are present not just on red blood cells, but throughout the lining of your digestive tract. And these antigens directly determine which bacterial species can colonize your gut and which cannot. Type O antigen environments selectively favor certain Bacteroidetes species associated with efficient fat metabolism and lean body composition. Type A antigen environments favor different bacterial populations that thrive on plant-based inputs. Type B environments support uniquely diverse microbiome populations, reflecting the adaptability of the blood type itself. What this means in practice is profound. Two people eating exactly the same diet can have completely different biological outcomes based on blood type alone. This is why personalized nutrition works better than universal dietary advice. This is why some people thrive on diets that destroy others. Your gut microbiome is not just shaped by what you eat, it is shaped by the blood type you were born with.
But perhaps the most overlooked dimension of blood type biology is what it does to your brain through the stress response. Every human being has a stress response system, but not every human being has the same stress response system, and blood type is one of the most significant determinants of how that system is calibrated. Type O under stress produces a massive adrenaline surge. The fight or flight response in type O individuals is fast, powerful, and physical. Type O individuals under stress feel an urgent need to move, to physically act, to resolve the threat through action. When they cannot act, this adrenaline surge has nowhere to go and can manifest as explosive anger, impulsive decision-making, and physical restlessness. Type A under stress produces a cortisol surge that is already chronically elevated at baseline. Under acute stress, this cortisol response intensifies dramatically, flooding the type A system with anxiety, overthinking, and physical tension. Type A individuals under stress tend to internalize, to analyze, to worry, to catastrophize. Type B under stress shows the most stable neuroendocrine response of all blood types. Their adrenaline response is moderate, and their cortisol response is comparatively contained. Type B individuals tend to have the greatest natural capacity for stress inoculation, the ability to experience stress without being overwhelmed by it. Type AB under stress experiences the most complex and unpredictable stress hormone cascade of all blood groups.
The stress response can vary significantly between individuals and even within the same individual across different types of stressors, sometimes showing the cortisol-dominant type A pattern, sometimes the stable type B pattern, and sometimes a mixed cascade that is difficult to regulate and predict. Understanding your blood type stress profile is not academic knowledge. It is practical biological intelligence that can change how you manage your mental health, your relationships, and your performance under pressure for the rest of your life. You did not choose your blood type, but every single day of your life, it has been choosing things for you: your disease vulnerabilities, your metabolic strengths, your stress chemistry, your cognitive trajectory, the bacterial ecosystem inside you, the way your heart responds to pressure, the way your brain ages over decades. Most people will never know any of this. They will spend their entire lives fighting their biology, following universal dietary advice that doesn't work for their blood type, ignoring stress in ways their blood type cannot afford, eating foods their digestive system was never designed for, and wondering why the same approach that works for someone else produces no results for them. You now know something different. You know the program, and when you know the program, you can finally start running it properly. This is the human algorithm.